Let's bring in our think tank. Let's bring in our experts to talk about it. Joining us tonight, Leslie Ricard-Chambers, trial attorney, former prosecutor. Also with us, Deborah Blum, criminal defense attorney, and Gabriel Sepulveda-Sanchez, trial attorney, with us as well. Great to have all three of you here. All right, first things first. I want to talk about Lori Vallow Daybell. She allegedly makes the statement, I had Alex come pick him up. Will that be enough to tie her to the murder of her own 7-year-old son? Deborah.
Well, this case is like a soap opera with more layers than an onion, but unfortunately, it's real life with many people dead, including 2 children. I don't know that that's enough to tie her to the murder of her 2 children. We know that there are a lot of communications now that went on between her brother and her now husband, Daybell, on the dates that we believe that these 2 poor children were murdered. I'm sure that the police are going to have more evidence, hopefully, that links her to their murder, because I think circumstantially we're beginning to see evidence that she completely was aware that her 2 children were horrifically murdered, and we don't know the extent of her involvement. But I imagine, since we do see this probable cause affidavit, that there could be more that we just don't know about yet.
Leslie, he's a zombie. Alex, come pick him up. Alex, the one who shot and killed her husband. Alex, the one who's there in the middle of the night just before Tylee disappears. The one who is in the backyard where the remains are found. This guy, by the way, folks, if you don't know, he's dead. He's also dead. You know when he died? The day after they announced they're going to exhume the body of Tammy Daybell, Chad Daybell's wife. You know, Chad, the one with the backyard with all the remains in it. Is this going to be enough, though? To me, that is very incriminating, Leslie. He's a zombie. I told Alice to come pick him up. I told him to come pick him up. She's putting out a hit on her son.
Alex certainly sounds like the family hitman. You know, he has a history of having killed her husband, and then you couple that with all of the activity between the time that they were all at Yellowstone Park together, all of the text messages, and that you see in the affidavit of probable cause, and then also, you know, all of the activity between his Lori's house and then Chad's property. And so while the fact, 1 or 2 facts alone don't really give the state the strength that they need to prove that all of these parties were connected and that ultimately all of their actions led to the deaths of these children. I do believe that they have a lot of circumstantial evidence that if they tie it all in together properly, that they could possibly be successful in proving that that both she and Alex had something to do with the death of these children.
All right, Gabriel, how about Chad Daybell? It's his backyard. He's the one lying to his wife, Tammy. Oh, yeah, he says in the text message, love you. Sorry, can't talk to you now, honey, because I have to burn and bury the remains of my future wife, you know, after you die, the one I'm going to marry, her children, who are going to get in the way of our new marriage. How do we tie him to murder charges? Because no one's been charged with murder yet. The guy who is clearly indicated through this affidavit is dead. How does he get tied into all of this?
It's the same thing as this our other commentators are mentioning. Just one of these pieces taken alone are not, it's questionable whether that's enough to put a murder charge on someone. But if you take all everything in the circumstantial evidence, which is allowed in criminal court, there's a good indication that he was involved with this. So it's all about the totality of the evidence here. It's not taking one piece at a time, but when you take all these situations into an account, then it's obvious that I think there's going to be there's enough probable cause to put a murder charge on the defendant here. And whether or not a jury wants to convict, they're going to hear all the evidence in totality. And when you take all the things going on, the text messages where the bodies were located, the time the text messages took place, and when you take that all into consideration, I think you got a good chance of a verdict here. Or not a verdict, but a conviction.
Yeah, there's no way Chad does not know what's going on. There's just no way. He's making up the story about a raccoon, and then he's talking about getting rid of the limbs, talking about the tree limbs, not body limbs, but tree limbs. But it turned out to be body limbs. So he's actually unbelievable. Dismemberment. The dismemberment of Tylee is what we're talking about here. Dismembering this 17-year-old girl and then burning the remains in the pet cemetery. Unreal. All right, when we come back, we're going to focus more on the man who really is the main focus of what's in this affidavit. And that's Alex Cox, Uncle Alex. So we have a 911 call. We know he's a killer already. I mean, that's been admitted. He shot and killed Charles Vallow, JJ's dad. So we tonight are going to play for you the 911 call that this killer made after he shot and killed Charles Vallow, and I want you to listen to his voice, listen to his demeanor, and you tell me after you hear that if this is a guy capable of killing and dismembering and burning children.
Well, it wasn't Probable. He was getting close, and she came out to defend my sister with her bat.
Your niece?
Yes.
Okay.
And then she poked at him, and then he took it away.
Okay.
And then I stepped in and told them they needed to separate.
Right.
So then my sister leaves with my niece.
And how long ago did they leave? It's been like an hour, 10 minutes?
20 minutes maybe, I don't know.
Okay. So not terribly long.
No.
Oh, okay.
And then he's coming back at me, and he's still got the bat in his hand. Like, what are you doing?
And where are you at it? Where are you both
in the
at?
living room.
Okay.
And then I turned around, and he hit me in the back of the head with the bat.
Alex Cox just killed a man, and he seems okay with it, sitting there on the curb. Wait till you hear what I'm going to play for you now. The 911 call that he made 5 minutes after shooting and killing Charles Vallow, after he says his life was threatened by Vallow with his baseball bat. Take a listen to his demeanor, the way he's talking, and you tell me if he sounds, pretty cold-hearted, almost like a mob hitman. Take a listen. Again, this is the 911 call he makes just 5 minutes after taking the life of his brother-in-law.
911, where is your emergency?
It's at 5531 South Four Peaks. I think it's Four Peaks Lane, I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, you say you don't know the direction?
I don't know the street name, if it's a lane or court.
It's 5531 East, though?
Yeah, or South
South
Four Peaks.
5531 South Four Peaks in Chandler. Is that right?
Yes.
You need
Yes.
police or paramedics?
Both. I mean, police and an ambulance.
What's the emergency there?
I got in a fight with my brother-in-law, and I shot him in self-defense.
Okay, let me get the medics on the phone. And is he hurt, or is he alive, or?
Yeah, there's blood. He's not moving.
How long ago did this happen?
A couple of minutes.
Fire department, what is the address of the emergency?
5531 South Four Peaks.
And is that a house in Chandler?
Yes.
And what is the emergency?
I shot my brother-in-law.
Okay, what part of his body is injured?
In the chest.
I'm sorry, where?
In the chest.
Okay, is he awake and responsive or unconscious?
Unconscious.
Okay, is he breathing?
I can't tell.
Are you willing to go over to him and check?
Sure.
Okay, do you just let me know if you see his chest going up and down? How old is he?
It's not moving. He's 60.
Okay, and are you wanting to start CPR?
No, I don't know how to do that.
I can walk you through it.
Okay.
And what I want you to do is you're going to put one hand in the center of his chest.
Yeah.
The other hand's going to go right on top of it.
Okay.
You're going to interlock your fingers, keeping your arms straight, and you're going to press down hard and fast into his chest. You're going to go 2 inches down and fairly quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, making sure his chest goes up between each compression. Where's the
Okay.
gun now?
It's in the other room.
Okay. Okay, just keep going with those compressions. Petey, did you have any other questions?
Yes. What's your name, sir?
My name is Alex. Last name is Cox, C-O-X.
And where are you in the house now?
In the living room.
And where is the gun?
It's in a bedroom.
Who else is there in the house with you?
Just me.
What gun is it? Was it a
It's my gun. It's a .45.
a pistol? 45 caliber pistol?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's his name, your brother-in-law?
Charles Vallow.
Well, police and medics are on the way to help you.
Thank you.
Are you still doing, what, chest compressions with him?
Yes.
Okay, just keep pushing down hard and fast in the center of his chest. How long ago did this occur? Did it just happen?
Yeah, maybe 5 minutes before I called.
Okay. Just make sure you're still pressing down at least 2 inches into his chest, and it comes up with each compression. Okay, were you guys arguing when this happened?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said there's nobody else there, just you and him, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Could you just let us know when it's secure?
Certainly. We'll do that.
Thank you.
And was he armed also, or just you, or what happened there?
Yeah, he came at me with a bat.
Anyone been drinking or doing drugs or anything today, or no?
I don't know, but I've never seen him that enraged before.
Does he live there with you, or where does he live?
No, he lives in Houston.
He's what, married to your sister? Is she? Where is she?
Correct. I don't know. I think she's taking her son to school.
See anything? Any response from him?
He's not responding at all.
Some officers should be there. Let me know when they get inside to you. Is the front door open?
Yeah. It's unlocked.
Okay. Can you come out, walk outside with your hands empty?
Sure.
Are you able to do that with your hands up and empty?
Yep. No weapons on me. Yep. 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 No one else is in the house.
Have a seat right there.
Yep.
Get that seat in here.
Yeah.
Have a seat.
Yeah.
Get some ID on you, sir.
Oh, he came at me with a bat. No. He came to pick up his son.
You know, if and when there are murder charges in this case, you know exactly what's going to happen at the trial. I mean, the defense is going to get up and point the finger at Alex Cox, and the trial is going to be about Alex Cox. Let's bring back in our think tank. Deborah Blum, that's where the defense is going to go. You know that's where they're going to go. And obviously he's part of this, but this is a team effort, an absolute team effort by these I'm not going to say insane, because that's in some states, not in Idaho. In some states, that's a defense to crimes. But these sick people.
They really seem to be sociopaths, you know. I don't think that they should have the benefit of a mental insanity defense, because people do oftentimes use that to their advantage. Unfortunately, I've seen a case where a mother horrifically murdered her three beautiful children. And when I did her arraignment, she asked me how long she was facing, and then she ended up getting a mental defect defense. And that really upset me as a defense attorney, you know, but it is your job to provide your clients with the best possible defense. So absolutely, during the trial of those who are still living in this soap opera drama, they're going to point the finger at Alex Cox. If you listen to this 911 tape, he's cool as a cucumber. He certainly doesn't seem upset at all. Generally, on a 911 call, even if somebody's acting like they're upset, when they call it in, they're not as calm as he is. And I can't believe that he wasn't charged with the murder. He admits that he went into his room. He could have just shut the door. He didn't say, oh, my brother-in-law has a gun. He just said he was attacking me with a baseball bat, and I went into my room and I got my gun and then I shot him. So this whole thing is such a disaster that, yeah, if I were any of these people's defense attorney, I would say that he was the mastermind behind all this. And you have this 911 call and this video where he's not showing any remorse whatsoever.
Zero. And no excitement. It's just like another day at the office, Gabriel, for this guy. And my fear is if we go to a murder trial, they're going to point the finger at this psychopath, Alex Cox, this admitted killer, and say he was terrorizing the whole family. That's what they're going to say. You know it.
Yeah, exactly. I have to agree too. I've handled a bunch of cases, and I've seen some crazy stuff and murder cases and fights that ended up happening, or family members have hurt or killed each other in the heat of passion. And one thing I always tell people is that when someone calls 911 and there's something like that happen where they killed or shot someone and out of rage or anger, you can hear in the recording that their adrenaline's pumping, they're calling for help, and they'll say, "I'm sorry, yeah, I shot him, and we were fighting, and he was drinking," or you can tell there's more emotion there. And there, with this, what's so eerie about this recording is that it's so cold and calculated. And when you listen to that call, there's just it almost feels like it was planned out a little bit. And 90% of the time when situations like this happen,
yeah, there was a notorious, and he happened to be from New Jersey, Leslie, notorious hitman called the Iceman. Huge documentary on HBO years ago, and that's the way he was, so matter of fact about taking life.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt here that Alex is a cold-hearted individual who has no emotional connection to not just Charles himself, but just to what has just transpired. I mean, if you're listening to the call, first he says, well, I shot him a few minutes ago. Yes, he's on the floor, but I don't know if he's really dying, but maybe he is. And even when the 911 operator was instructing him to give some type of life-saving measure, I was really listening as hard as I could to figure out if I could tell the difference between his tone before she gave him that instruction, and maybe there was a difference, during maybe to indicate whether or not he was actually given these life-saving measures, and I just didn't find that. Look, Alex is who he is, and Lori took advantage of that, and she continued to take advantage of that, I believe, when it came down to killing her children.
Oh, I like that argument. That's gonna work well. All right, folks, I got some news for you. They're not a sponsor. I don't think they're a sponsor of ours, but Ford is going to re-release an old vehicle that's been out of circulation for a while, the Ford Bronco. And they were originally going to release the new Ford Bronco on July 9th, which happened to be O.J. Simpson's birthday. Remember, he had a Ford Bronco and his friend AC had the Ford Bronco, and there was that whole chase. Well, guess what? They put a tweet out today, and are kind of putting it in reverse a little bit. In a tweet today, Ford stated they are sensitively and respectful to the concerns raised previously about the date, and the 2021 Ford Bronco will debut now, not on the 9th, but on July 13th. Ford discontinued that model back in '96, 2 years after O.J.'s famous slow speed chase after Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman were murdered. The Bronco Simpson was in actually belonged to his best friend, A.C. Cowlings. This Sunday, CourtTV's true crime series OJ 25 takes a closer look at the other white Ford Bronco at the center of this case, the one that belonged to Simpson, and the tow truck driver who stole evidence from it.
How do you know it wasn't printed?
Well, through the years, I'm familiar with the print that they put on these vehicles. It's either gray or black that's put on these vehicles, and there was none of that on it.
And are you saying there was none of that inside the vehicle?
Inside or around the car.
And you looked, did you?
Yes, I did.
Were you looking carefully for print dust that day?
Yes.
And you didn't see any, correct?
I didn't see any.
You recognize the location that's shown in this photograph, sir? That's the print check, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And that's where you picked up the Bronco on June the 15th, isn't it?
That's correct.
In fact, that was the position it was in when you hooked it up to your tow truck and pulled it out, correct?
Correct.
Zoom in.
Watch Court TV's first true crime series, OJ 25, this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Next story is incredibly tragic. A 21-year-old college student is out one night and gets into an Uber, but it's not an Uber. She ends up murdered. And now investigators believe they have the man responsible. Nathaniel Rowland is his name. Samantha Josephson is the name of the victim in the case. And they were just in court, sort of. It was one of those Zoom hearings, but the prosecutor laid out some of the evidence that they have in this case.
A Columbia Police Department responded to a missing persons call where they made contact with Samantha's roommates and friends who indicated that she had not made it home that night. They had not been able to contact her. They had not heard from her. They even attempted to track her by way of her phone and were unable to do so. Likewise, Samantha's boyfriend had been in contact with her throughout the night, and he had not heard from her either, and up to the point that he had spoken with her actually at approximately 2 a.m. on the phone. After that, he began to track her phone to make sure that she made it home all right, but he lost contact with the phone as her phone actually moved in the opposite direction of where her apartment was located. It was collected from statewide security in the 5 Points area that actually showed Samantha get into a black Chevy Impala at approximately 2:09 a.m. on Hardin Street. It's important to note that this black Impala was of a similar nature as the Uber that she had called, but it was definitely not the actual Uber she had called. And that's confirmed by records that indicate that the Uber ride was canceled when the Uber driver arrived and could not locate Samantha near the designated pickup area. Around 3:30 p.m., a body confirmed to be Samantha Josephson was located in Clarendon County, near the town of New Zion, South Carolina. It was found in a secluded, wooded area off a dirt road. What they thought was a body and notified law enforcement what they had found. Interestingly enough, investigators would later learn that this area where Samantha was located was less than 2 miles from where the defendant's family resides and where Mr. Rowland himself had actually resided at one point. An autopsy was conducted. It was determined the cause of death was due to multiple sharp force injuries. Judge, there were over 30 wounds on various parts of Samantha's body, to include her face, her feet, and virtually every area of her body in between. The wounds were consistent with being inflicted with a type of bladed weapon that investigators actually located by way of a search warrant later in the case at a residence that the defendant had been to. Samantha's debit card is used as an ATM in Sumter at approximately 5:45 in the morning. Her card was used again at another ATM in Columbia at about 6:45 in the morning on Garner's Ferry Road. Video was obtained from both ATM locations and show a person wearing clothing similar to clothes that again were located during subsequent search warrants of both a black Chevy Impala and the residence that the defendant had been to. Based on the video previously obtained showing Samantha getting into the Impala, a bolo or be on the lookout had been put out to officers for the black Chevy Impala. And on March the 30th, about 2:30 a.m., officers with Columbia PD did make a traffic stop on a black Impala fitting that description. This is where they encountered Mr. Rowland.
And let me give you some more of the evidence in the case. They found her blood in his car. They found a murder weapon. Again, those clothes that were seen, the use of the ATM card, the Chevy is found on the video. I mean, you've got everything here except a real answer to the question why, unless this was just a robbery to use the ATM card. But I mean, this is a brutal, brutal killing. Let's bring back in the think tank. Leslie, do prosecutors really even need in most murder cases, I know you don't legally need it, but a jury wants to know the motive. I mean, there's so much evidence here. I don't even know if you have to bother with the why.
I agree with you, Vinny. At this point, this case is just so horrific that I don't think that the why is very relevant. he's obviously someone who decided that he was going to take advantage of anyone who made the mistake of getting into his car, such as poor Samantha, and then followed by him just taking off in the car and not saying, "Hey, look, you're in the wrong car. Why don't you get out?" He didn't do that. He pulled off and he drove away with this young lady in the back of the vehicle, killed her, and then went to the ATM, took her debit card, went to the ATM a few times. So someone could draw a reasonable conclusion and say that this was someone who was out to commit some type of robbery or theft, if you will. And unfortunately, poor Samantha, she paid the price for it, not realizing that she was in the wrong vehicle, and he took advantage of that for sure.
Gabriel, what is the defense gonna say here? I mean, pleading not guilty, family believes in him. Is he gonna say self-defense? Is he gonna say someone framed me? What on earth can you possibly say in a courtroom with a straight face?
Just on what you told me, this is a tough one as a defense attorney. One thing I can think, I mean, I'm not sure as far as if they could for sure. Was there any other registered owners to that vehicle? Was that vehicle shared with anyone else? They may use some sort of mistaken identity defense. I really have to learn more about what's going on in the case exactly. Was there any marks on him? Does he have an alibi? Was there someone else? Did he share that vehicle with other people? He might have. Maybe it wasn't him actually that conducted the crime. Maybe it was some other person that he was an accomplice to. There might have been someone else in the car in the passenger seat. We really don't know. I don't know enough of the facts to make that determination. But if you get this case as a defense lawyer, this is a challenge right here. And you're going to have to bring it all, do what you can do, defend your client. But that's what I'm thinking right now. Maybe some sort of mistaken identity, or maybe there was someone else that was in the car with him at the time. We really don't know. It's not uncommon for an Uber driver to have someone else in the car. I've been in an Uber car before, and then someone else is in the passenger seat. I know you're not supposed to do that, but it does happen. This is a brutal killing, 30 stab wounds. And I think they need to, maybe do some maybe the defendant here, was there any marks on his body? Was there any evidence that there was a struggle? So there has to be some more. The defense lawyer is going to look at that stuff and see what he can pull out of his hat there, because this is a tough case to defend.
Oh, I thought you were going to say pull out of somewhere else, but the hat probably a better choice. All right.
Yeah.
When we come back, 13th juror, time to hear from you. And it's the big picture question. I mean, there are protests from city after city in our country. And my question is, how can we mend the relationship between police and the people who are protesting the police? 13th juror, next.
Well, Chris, across the country, morale is down with police departments, and I think ours is down tenfold. This has been a very tough few weeks.
No, sir. All right. I really don't, Mr. All right. I think you've had too much to drink to be driving.
I can't breathe all the
And I was in pain, and the world is in pain right now.
Americans are being tear gassed in the streets, hit with rubber bullets, shoved violently to the ground, cracking their skulls against the pavement. And for what? For demanding justice for Black Americans.
I love my brother. He's still here in spirit right now. And we need justice, and we demand injustice.
All right. I mean, it's obvious. Whatever side you're on in all of this, right? There's a broken relationship between all the people we see protesting and police. So my question tonight for the 13th juror was, how do we mend that relationship? We begin with our comment of the day, Elizabeth, saying, better. More extensive training for all police, more in-depth psychological evaluations before they hit the streets, prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law as we would anybody else, stop letting them off if they unjustly murdered someone. Deborah Blum, let me ask you something. more training, more evaluations, more. To me, that sounds like more funding, not defunding.
Absolutely. I don't think you could have said it better. We need more funding for the police because federal law enforcement actually has way more extensive training, and we're not hearing about incidents between federal law enforcement. You're hearing about state, local police officers. They only spend limited amount of time in their training, and they need to have more. They need to practice shooting so that way that if they do have to shoot, they do it effectively and they don't have to shoot so many rounds. They also have to learn how to de-escalate situations. So I absolutely agree with that, but not every issue that we're seeing here, every instance is one of police misconduct. You know, there's a very big difference between George Floyd's killing and Rayshard Brooks. So we also have to have an honest conversation about this.
Karen writes tonight, do nothing at this point. Some policing procedures will change for the better because of protests against oppression. Our officials have to use common sense, which is way overdue. The looters will always be there. They're a plague all their own. Leslie, what is the common sense approach to this broken relationship?
Well, just like any relationship, both parties have to have perspective, right? You have to have perspective for the other party before you can even begin a conversation about what one party feels is lacking or is broken, and then what the other party feels is lacking or broken. And so until we have leaders in place that can appreciate perspective, then I'm not sure how much progress that we're actually going to be able to make, regardless of whether they're protests or if officers decided they're going to stop answering service calls.
Lucy tonight, the police are well trained and do the best they can to keep peace and law and order. The problem stems from the non-compliance of the people to obey laws and follow instructions when interacting with officers. The police don't need more training. The criminals do in order to avoid injury or death. Gabriel, what role does compliance play in what's taking place?
I don't agree with the comment right there. I think this is a racial issue. I think there needs to be more training on police profiling and racial profiling against police officers from police officers, and I think also there needs to be more police accountability. A lot of these incidents, some of these incidents that happen in small towns, small counties, DAs and the cops are friends. The DA's children go with the children with the police. I think there needs to be more independent oversight when determining whether to prosecute a police officer or not. That's what I think there needs to be, some sort of independent agency that will overlook these cases of police misconduct or excessive force instead of a DA or county prosecutor that plays softball with the police on the weekends. That's what happens in many of these counties. I grew up in a small town. I know how it is out there. And when you've been profiled by the police, these people are in pain right now. The country's in pain. And we feel like we're not, our voice isn't being heard, the minorities out there that have been subject to racial profiling. So I think there needs to be more police accountability right now and independent oversight over police misconduct cases.
Gabriel, Leslie, Deborah, thank you all so much. Appreciate it. This conversation, by the way, will continue. We've got a CourtTV special coming up Monday at 8 o'clock, Black and Blue, a CourtTV special, 8 o'clock. That's 8 o'clock Monday, 1 hour, important programming here on your front row seat to justice. That's it for this week. Another busy week here at CourtTV. Thank you so much for watching, being a part of it. And as always, folks, have a great weekend. And don't forget to hug the kids.